What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year. Hope you had a good one. Hope everybody was safe and everything was good and you're now recovering peacefully after your New Year's Eve hangovers, which is the norm for most people. But what we're going to be working on today is probably what a lot of you guys have been waiting for. The infamous K-swap Prelude. Now, for those of you who don't remember the video from a while ago that I did on this car, this has been something that I've been both dreading and excited about, and I'll show you why. This car is a 5th gen Prelude. It is K-Series swapped. Nobody makes a kit for the K-Series to swap this thing properly, so you kind of have to modify a 4th gen kit to get it to fit. Now, the problem that you run into with these Preludes is that the K-Series is a much taller engine than the H. So you run issues with clearances with things like the oil pan, the hood, and things of that nature. So in an effort to alleviate the oil pan clearance, someone went ahead and moved the motor backwards and up, which has caused some pretty significant issues. The engine is actually hitting the hood right there. It's hit the hood right here. It's hitting right here. And ultimately, the job that was done, as I'm sure you guys can see, is nowhere near acceptable. Now, let's see if we can get to focus on it a little bit better, but all of this welding was actually covered with Bondo to try to hide what was done. Same goes for this mount back here. I don't know, you guys can see that. And what you can't see is the exhaust. Now that right there is a precursor to what's going on with the rest of the exhaust. So we're gonna get into that. But in order to fix this thing properly, what we have to do today is we have to rip the engine out. So we're going to pull the engine out of this thing today, kind of get an assessment of what's bad and what's not. There's some bolts on the transmission that are stripped. There's the exhaust manifold that's got all kinds of problems, and there's just a ton of stuff that we're going to need to do to make this car roadworthy again and not have the motor come up through the hood. Now we've got some power steering issues, we've got fitment issues on pretty much everything. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to set the motor down a little bit further, which he's going to have to sacrifice some Stancy Boy stuff, but the car is going to need to be a little bit taller just to get the hood to fit on and get this engine to fit in the bay properly. So we're going to get with pulling this motor out today. I'm going to start pulling all the accessories, the wiring harness, and all that stuff off of it so that we can literally pull this thing off. So I'm going to set up the GoPro, and what we're going to do is we're going to time lapse me taking apart everything on top, underneath, and then ultimately yanking the motor up out of it. So here we go.
We got time, but no money, but there ain't nobody stopping us. We got bills, but no dollars, but now we don't really give up. No, we don't really give up. Living for that ray of light. Life can be beautiful, life can be beautiful. Going all the way tonight, making it beautiful. Acting like there's no tomorrow. Acting like there's no tomorrow. Acting like there's no tomorrow. Acting like this, acting like this.
Alright, so we got pretty much everything taken off of the motor. We got the header off, we got all the wiring harness off the motor, and I took the wiring harness off the motor instead of working it through the firewall and just laying it over the motor, because the way that it was ran, there were a lot of like super tight wires, and this thing's got an intermittent check engine light. The wiring harness is a mess. I'll show it to you guys in a second. So we're just going to try to fix a bunch of the stuff that we see wrong with it as we're doing this. So I wanted to make sure that the harness was completely off of the vehicle. We also pulled off all the hoses, pulled the radiator out. The only thing we have left really is pull the axles, and we're going to pull the whole thing out the top as one unit. But I wanted to take a second and show you guys some of the stuff that I found. So, like I said, the wiring harness, not the greatest in the world. I mean, there's a lot of just like randomly plugged in stuff that's not taped properly, just hanging out. Some of these wires here, the main power wires, were actually stuck to the starter because they had sort of melted to the starter, and there's just a bunch of connectors that are not quite right. Some of the clips are broken and a few other odds and ends. Now you can get a better look at that rear mount and see the welds on that sucker. See, that looks like a fun one. You can see what they did here on this mount to set the engine back an inch, which you didn't need to do because, yeah. So you guys can see how badly tilted the motor is too. It shouldn't be that tilted. I don't know if you'll be able to see with the radiator out from this direction. Yeah, you can kind of see it. The engine is actually that way. So it's much taller on the passenger side than it is on the driver's side, which makes the power steering pump pulley hit the hood. So we got to fix that. But now, the thing I've been telling you guys about the entire time on this particular thing is this header. Now, you guys saw that weld right there. And I told you there was a whole lot more behind that. Well, here we go. So there you can see two runners completely capped off. Then a patch with that pipe coming down into the patch. And I'm not sure whether Ray Charles is at it again, or this was Stevie Wonder, or maybe Helen Keller was, I don't know. I have no idea. And then you got this one that is just when you wonder what nightmares are made of, that's it. That's a nightmare. That was a go home, you're drunk, put the welder down, please don't touch that again. So we got a brand new header that we're going to have to modify because nobody makes a header for this thing. So we're going to make one, and we're going to do it the right way. So I'm going to get these axles out of here. I'll bring you guys back when the motor's ready to come out, and you can see that coming out.
No, we don't really give up. Going all the way tonight. Life can be beautiful. Life can be beautiful. Dancing in the flashing light, making.
All right, boys and girl, all 0.1% of you. There it is. Motor and trans is out. And now we can see the true level of what the Jamaicans call fuckery. Right there. Look at that. That looks like, would you look at that? Just look at it. Just look at it. You see it? Look at it. It looks like a bad game of Jenga. Or horrible bridge builders. Or I don't know what. But we got that level of WTF. And then here's the rear mount. You see that? What is that? There are two plates of steel which appear to be tack welded together sitting underneath this mount, which is very strange. And then this one must have been welded by somebody who halfway knew what they were doing, because that one looks to be in the right spot. But you can see they trimmed, or a squirrel, or a chipmunk, or a wildebeest trimmed that section of the K member. We got our work cut out for us, guys. We definitely do. It's a lot worse than I thought it was, and now uncovering that makes things all that much more interesting, because now we got to cut that out. And I don't know what that is or why it's got a hole through it. But yeah. So unfortunately, that is what we're dealing with. There is not a single part of this engine swap that was done correctly. And I feel bad for the owner of this car, because he is such a nice guy, that someone would do this to him. And I know it's taken me a while to get to it, and this is why, because I needed to make sure that I had the time to fix all of what is going on with this thing. It is absolutely horrendous. Now, I can't stress enough, guys, when you're taking your car to somebody to have something like this done, ask for pictures, ask for proof of what they've done, and find their customers. Talk to their customers and see how happy they are. And if you have a friend who says, hey, I can do that, and he delivers milk for a living, kind of question what his abilities are and look for proof of his work. That's all I can say. Stuff like this poor guy's going to have to do these twice. This swap is technically getting done twice. The amount of money he's spending is ridiculous compared to if it had just been done by a shop that knew what they were doing, or somebody who took a little bit more care in putting this together. So now we have all this crap. We got the header. Just nothing is right in this car. So we got the motor out. We're going to start working on cutting all this stuff out tomorrow. We'll get these mounts out of here. We'll get everything lined back up where it's supposed to be. We'll get the new mounts welded in. We got to test fit the motor back in. I just found out that there's probably 6 or 7 bolts on the motor. Let me show you how good this is. So there's another welding job that they did to try to set the motor back an inch. So you can see how bad that is. Here's a close-up of that one, if it'll focus. Maybe. There we go. That one that they had to modify because of where the motor was sitting. Here's another one down here that is non-focused, broken. And the bad part is that bolt is so cross-threaded it is actually sideways. This bolt appears to be okay. This bolt right here is completely stripped out of the transmission. So this is how the mount was in the car. Wasn't even tight. Then we got over here the factory mount. Another strip bolt. So we are working with an absolute nightmare. These are the things that we as fabricators and mechanics go through, especially me, on a daily basis. This sucks. But we'll get it done, and it's going to be perfect when it's done. Everything will be fixed. All the crap that's going on will be fixed, and he'll be good to go. He'll be good to drive this car. Everything's going to work. We're going to put the motor where it belongs, hopefully straighten the axles out a little bit. We'll get everything good. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Stay tuned for the next part, which will probably be tomorrow, maybe Thursday. If not, definitely this weekend. We do have a bunch of regular customers coming in tomorrow and Thursday and Friday so that we can get their cars fixed up for the winter, which hasn't come yet, but I'm sure it'll be here soon. So guys, please, almost at 10,000. We didn't make the end of the year 10,000 goal, which I'm okay with because we're pretty damn close. We're just over 9,000 now, which is awesome, but man, I can't wait to hit that 5-digit mark to where we're actually at 10,000 subscribers. And you know what? Do me a favor, when you hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell, just so you get notifications when I post, because ultimately, I'd like for you guys to see my videos. You know, I make them so that you guys can see them and maybe learn something or entertain yourselves for a little while. So thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate all you. Again, hope you're having a great new year. Tomorrow is day 2 of 2019, and we're starting it off with a big red pile of something. So have a good night, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.